From winning the Golden Boy, the Champions League, and being one of the best attacking mids in the world during the 2010s, to then being released, having no club and having to train at home, then only signing a one-year deal, but then becoming one of the best attacking mids in his own league again, here's how Isco made the best comeback of 2023. We all know Isco, and he started his career at Valencia, playing 56 games for the Valencia B and the first team. Then moving on to Malaga for about €6 million, and this is where he properly made a name for himself. Played under Manuel Pellegrini, you all remember him, former West Ham, former Man City coach, and this is where Isco won the Golden Boy award for his great performances just in the league and the Champions League that year, where he just beat out Thibaut Courtois and Stefan El Shaarawy. And this is where it caught the eye of the world, basically. If you were remember when Isco was at the top of his game, every club in the world was after him at the time, and it was actually Real Madrid who got his signature in 2013. He had an interesting time at Real Madrid. He started under Carlo Ancelotti, but Real Madrid saw a lot of managerial change, and obviously we saw Zidane come into the club later on. But Isco struggled with the 4-3-3 formation, and obviously with Gareth Bale joining the club, Cristiano Ronaldo joining a few years earlier, Karim Benzema, plus the emergence of players like Asensio and obviously the midfielders like Casemiro, Kroos and Modric. It was just tough for him to fit in, really. But me personally, I think he had his best season in 2016-17, whereas if you remember in that Champions League run where Real Madrid won against Juventus, he probably was Real Madrid's best player in that run, basically. All the plaudits normally go to Cristiano Ronaldo, but if you remember watching that, Isco was fantastic, and this, for me, was his best season of his career so far. And I think at this point it was where Isco had finally arrived. He finally got his position in the Madrid team. The Bale, Ronaldo, Benzema, it didn't really seem to work out long term, even though it did work out in the Champions Leagues. Isco was negotiating a contract, but it did go on for quite a while, where eventually it actually signed a new contract for 5 years, and it included a release clause of €700 million. And this is where it seemed like he was going to be the future of Real Madrid. After his contract negotiation as well, Real Madrid hired Julian Lopetegui, Isco's mentor for the Spanish under-21s, and he had worked with him quite a lot at that point. But unfortunately, Lopetegui only lasted 14 games, and then they brought in Santiago Solari, which unfortunately maybe was the start of the end of Isco's career at Real Madrid, because he seemed to prefer Vinicius Jr. and Federico Valverde at the time, who were 18 and 20 respectively, and they just seemed to be the future. And now we can see, obviously, it was probably the right decision, because Vinny Jr. is one of the best players in the world, like Valverde is. However, it just kind of pushed Isco out of the team even more. He even refused to shake Solari's hand after a 3-0 defeat away to Eibar after being substituted off. And this caused so many more problems, because he then put on social media that he wasn't enjoying the same opportunities as his teammates, which obviously was a dig at his coach and just broke the relationship even further. However, it seemed to go up for Isco again when Solari was sacked and Zinedine Zidane came for his second spell at Real Madrid and instantly put Isco back into the starting lineup, which looked like it was going to be for years to come again. However, it wasn't really how it happened, because unfortunately modern football, players like Isco have been put to one side as the quote-unquote number 10 has been somewhat made extinct. It's not completely extinct, as we can see with his form currently. However, the fullbacks became a lot more attacking, the midfield became a lot more industrious with Casemiro, Kroos and Modric, and the wingers were a lot more attacking as well, as they would be basically forwards. And this didn't really serve Isco too well, because he might be put on the wing, but as we've all seen Isco, he's not the quickest of players, and I think in that Madrid system they did need the pace on the wings. It just went further and further down for Isco, and by the summer of 2021, Real Madrid's management did ideally want him off the payroll, with AC Milan coming in for him. However, it would require him to take a pay cut, which Isco clearly didn't want to do at the time, so he stayed at the club. Then he saw Ancelotti's return from Everton, and he did put him back in the starting lineup. However, it only was short, because Isco just could not come back with his performances of old. And even Marcelo, three years prior to that, warned him that he needed to increase his performances physically and technically at the time, and obviously it didn't happen. And with his 5-year deal signed in 2017, it was clear Real Madrid weren't offering him a new contract, so he had to look elsewhere basically, and he found that in Sevilla, where he played there for just one season, and again, it didn't work out, and it just saw the further downfall of his career. It never seemed to be a good start at Sevilla, as the sporting director just plainly didn't want him, and there was actually rumours of a fight between the two, which has been denied, but has been strongly rumoured, and apparently it was just a marriage that was just never going to work. However, Lopetegui was at Sevilla, and he did fancy Isco, as he has done throughout his entire career. However, with just one win in 10, it caused Lopetegui to get sacked, and Isco was unfortunately phased out by the future manager, Jorge Sampaoli. In January, Sevilla wanted rid of him, and he had communication with Union Berlin at the time, who were unfortunately in the Europa League, so negotiations were going on very strongly. However, Isco did want to play in Europe, and by UEFA rules, he just would not have been allowed. So that completely broke down, and this led to Isco's somewhat downfall and just his kind of reclusiveness, because he had to train in his own home in Spain. He didn't have any club at the time, and it really looked like Isco's career was going in the way of so many more such promising players that we've seen, and it's just really dwindling out. But then, luckily, in the summer, Manuel Pellegrini called, his former coach at Malaga, and he wanted him to come to the club, with Real Betis offering a 1-year contract. And Pellegrini even said in a press conference, "From the moment I spoke to him, I was sure we were going to find the Isco of the past and the player we needed to create chances." It seemed to be a good fit for Isco, because Sergi Canales, a Real Betis just legend, he moved to Liga MX, and also Nabil Fekir, the French lad, former Lyon player, he was unfortunately had a long-term injury, so Isco just seemed to be coming up well for him at that time. Anonymous sources close to Isco have said after Sevilla he realised that he had to change his career, or it was over basically. He needed to do the work to recover the feeling of being professional mentally and physically to find himself again. And this is what happened. It saw Isco win 9 out of the first 13 MVPs in his Real Betis matches, which just saw him completely burst back onto the scene and shock everyone. And with Real Betis chasing the Europe spot, 7th at the moment, unbeaten in 5, albeit 4 of them have been draws, Isco has been playing fantastic, and up until December, Isco actually had the second most amount of chances created in the top 5 leagues, just behind Iago Aspas for Celta Vigo. And over the years, there's been so much circulation going over Isco's physical ability. Has he been overweight in the past? Has he just been clearly unfit? But this season, no player has played any more minutes than Isco for Real Betis, which clearly proves he's taken his fitness so seriously this season. And it's proven really well for him, because there's been even rumours of Barcelona triggering a reported €10 million release clause, which unfortunately I can't see happening at the moment, because Real Betis have just agreed a new contract up to 2027, which is incredible, because the hierarchy at Real Betis, rightly so, for Isco was a huge risk coming to the club, and they kept him on a very, very low salary with performance incentives, which have obviously paid dividends from now on. But with Isco agreeing a new contract to the club, it seems like one of the best attacking mids of the 2010s is back to his best, and we might see him maybe potentially go to the Euros with Spain, or potentially make a big money move in the summer from Betis. But let me know what you think. Let me know if a player's made a better comeback than Isco this year. I think it'll be quite tough. And let me know how you think he's playing, if you're a Real Betis fan, if you're a La Liga fan. But yeah, it's just been great to see a player like him come back. If you could leave a like on this video, if you enjoyed it, that'd be great. If you're new here, if you could subscribe. And if you want to leave a comment, let me know what you think. That'd be fantastic. But thanks for watching.